So, hi Abby! Last time on Katie Kazoo, she had made the pie all by herself because she's Louie, right? And the two contestants that were left, they were almost done with that pizza. And if they keep going, they're going to have to eat her pizza. And she said that there was a really strange smell coming from the oven. It didn't smell like Louie's pizza, did it? No. So let's find out what happens next. Katie opened the oven door and slid the pizza onto a tray. It looked very strange. There was a brown coating on top of the cheese. It looked kind of like melted caramel. Katie hoped the last two contestants wouldn't notice, but they did. As soon as she placed the fresh slices in front of her, Caroline sniffed at the air. Trying something different this time, Louie? Katie just shrugged. Neil took a bite. Hey, this is different. It's sweet, kind of sugary. Caroline bit into her pizza. I think I taste cinnamon, she noted. Katie gulped. Oh no, the brown spice must have been the cinnamon and sugar she'd put out for the coffee. Katie could feel a tear fall from her eye and settle into Louie's mustache. Suddenly she forgot that she was supposed to be a grown man. Instead, she felt very much like the 8-year-old little girl she was inside. And so she did a very kid-like thing. She ran into the storeroom, slammed the door, and started to cry. Everything's ruined, she blubbered as she sat down on the cardboard boxes. Kaboom! The cardboard box collapsed beneath her. Oh, Katie cried harder. Her rear end hurt. Her feet hurt. Her hands were covered with flour, and she was very, very tired. And for what? When word got out about how bad that last pizza had been, Louie would be out of business. He would have to retire and move away. Suddenly, without any warning, a fierce wind blasted through the storeroom, and the breeze circled around Katie like a tornado. Katie shut her eyes tight and grabbed onto a nearby cabinet to keep from being blown away. The magic wind was back. See, Katie? There was no way to predict when the wind would come or when it would stop, so Katie wasn't really surprised when the wind died down without warning. Slowly she opened her eyes and looked around. She was still in the storm room, but she felt her face. No mustache. She looked at her hands. They were small with chipped red nail polish and no flour in the fingernails. And Louie was himself. What the happened? He moaned. How did I get here? Don't you remember? Katie asked nervously. There was no way she was going to be able to explain about the magic wind to Louie. Well, I sort of do. I mean, I think I remember making a pizza and... The contest! I've got to get out of there. Quickly, Katie followed Louie out of the storeroom. Carolyn and Neil were still at the table, chowing down on the pizza Katie had made. Finally, Carolyn leaned back in her chair. That's it for me, she said. That cinnamon pizza did me in, Louie. Louie looked confused. Katie almost started to cry again. Hey, then I'm the winner, Neil cheered. I'm the Pizza King of Cherrydale! Yay! The photographer's cameramen started flashing, and the news reporter shoved a microphone into his face, and everyone cheered. Everyone but Katie. She was busy staring at Louie, and he was so very confused. The next morning, Katie tried to stay in bed as late as she could. She didn't want to wake up and face the bad news, so she pretended not to feel Pepper's wet nose on her cheek when he tried to wake her. She covered her ears with her pillow so she couldn't hear her mother cheerfully singing. And she didn't move a muscle when she heard the phone ring. Katie was not going to get out of bed. No way. She didn't want to see anyone. She didn't want to talk to anyone. "Wake up, sleepyhead," Katie's dad said as he walked into her room. "It's Sunday." "I don't have to wake up," Katie moaned. "You've already had 2 phone calls," her father told her. "I don't want to talk to anyone." "They were from Louie. He wants you to come down to his store. He says he has something important to say to you." Katie frowned. Louie wanted to tell her he was going out of business. She just knew it. "I'll see you downstairs at breakfast," Katie's dad said. "Mom will drive you to the mall when she goes to work." Katie wasn't the only kid Louie had called that morning. By the time she and her mother arrived at his shop, Suzanne, Jeremy, Becky, George, Kevin, and Ian were already there. They were all sitting at the counter. Suzanne, Jeremy, and Becky, and even Ian were eating pizza. George and Kevin were eating Italian ices. "I need a break from pizza," George told Louie. "Katie, there you are." Louie gave her a big smile. He's so brave, she thought. "I have something to tell all of you, especially you, dear Katie." Katie gulped. Louie was blaming her for everything. Well, it was her fault. "Louie, I never meant for—" Katie began to speak, but before she could finish, the phone rang. Louie reached for the phone. "Louie's Pizza Shop," he said. "No, not at all. Come whenever you want," he told the other person. Louie hung up the phone and grinned. "That's what I wanted to tell you about." "What?" Katie said. "Was that the movers coming to get everything?" "The movers? Why would I need the movers?" "Aren't you retiring?" Katie asked. "No way! The contest, it was a brilliant idea, Katie. The phones have been ringing all morning. People want deliveries. They want me to cater. That call was from a woman asking if she needed a reservation to be at the table." "But the cinnamon pizza, wasn't that awful?" Katie said. Louie shook his head. "I don't know what made me do that, but it was a great idea. Did you know that Carolyn Evans is the food reviewer of Cherrydale News? She wrote a whole article about my pizza." He handed Katie the newspaper, and sure enough, there was a picture of Caroline eating Louie's pizza. "Read the last paragraph," said Louie to Katie. "The best part of the contest was the dessert pizza Louie served. It was sweet and tangy, and I never had anything like it before. It made losing the contest easier for me to bear. I recommend it to anyone who likes pizza and dessert." "Wow!" Katie exclaimed. Louie told the kids, "I think I'll call it Katie's Special." Wow! A pizza named just for her. And this means that Louie will not be out of business, and Katie will not lose her dear, dear friend. So I guess everything ended up working out, huh? Not the way she planned it, but it worked out in the end. I love you. I hope you have sweet dreams. Abby and Johnny. Good night, my sweet ones.